Right, hello and welcome to round 4 of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship with, what turns out to be, it's going to be a very action-packed evening with over 20 cars on the grid for this evening after having our lowest turnout the last round with 8 and 7 drivers at Symmons Plains / Brian Walsh Raceway. Over 20 cars for this one. And with more cars on the grid, we've also got an additional person in the commentary box. So not only is there Brendan Ross alongside me, we've also got Will Devenish in the commentary booth to call this one. So fellas, how goes it?
Goes is good. Corona has brought more cars to the race, so that's pretty good.
We've definitely got a great track for having such high numbers. Be a really exciting night, I reckon.
Yeah, obviously 20 plus cars for a lap that's a little over a minute long. It's going to make for, well, certainly a lot of action, whether that be overtaking or incidents, I think. The reverse grid races, obviously races 2 and 3, being reverse grid, is it's certainly going to sort out the men from the boys and who's lucky and who's not, I think.
Yeah, we're just going off last week's reverse grid races. It's definitely they're going to be something to watch tonight.
Yeah, we certainly are. Well, we've just ticked over to qualifying. 10-minute qualifying session for those that are watching for the first time, and drivers only have one time lap available. So you get given 3 laps in the server, which gives you enough time to set one time lap. Obviously, both of you guys were out in the server doing some practice laps. How would you guys tackle this Pukekohe Raceway circuit in a 1 lap dash for pole?
Well, Will was faster, so I'll let Will explain.
Well, I'd want to see how many people are on track. If everyone dives out early, you keep it late. If no one's diving out, then you go out early. We're getting cars on the track now, and I think everyone's wanting to get out early, so I'd be holding back as long as possible.
Yeah, we've got 5 cars immediately straight out. So that's Termo, that's Whitmore, I think that's Liam Spencer, one of the car sales car, one of the Nissan Hornets as well. It's good to see some Nissans on the grid. Hadn't had any in any of the previous rounds, but even though there were 1 or 2 selected, but all of them now being snapped up and with pretty much a full grid out there. So Termo is going to be the first one to set a lap unless he slows down and lets everybody through. Also got NZ Snipes out there. And Scott Stancliffe out there. Got a number of drivers out there, but we will jump to Termo first off. So he's coming up to the hairpin. We're right on board with Termo, but when he does start his lap, why don't you go and talk us through a lap of this Pukekohe Raceway circuit?
Will do. So coming up with a final turn here, you want to get it power on really early and sort of slide it around. Now, Termo's been real lucky here. No one's come up out of the pits. Trying to get that front tyre onto the ripple strip. He's nearly done it. Not too far onto this ripple strip on the inside of turn 2 because there is a track cut there. And not as smooth onto the back straight as we'd like, but he hasn't mucked it up yet, so it's looking good. Now this tight little left-hander, it's really easy to power it up too early and get the back end out. Termo's done that absolutely perfectly. Now he's gone down to first for the hairpin. It's good for a turn-in, but you do need a short shift getting out of the turn. He didn't quite get the apex on that last turn there, so it ended up being quite wide. And 1043.
It's not too bad to start off. It's a nice bank cut. See, the fastest lap we did see in practice was obviously you, Will, with a 102.9, but the fastest of the drivers out there that's racing tonight was Brko with a 103.7. So Termo with a low 4 is going to put him in good stead because I reckon we will see a number of mistakes out there in this qualifying session.
100%.
It does look like Steve Brko was about to start his lap too, so he's just coming through the last corner right now.
And we've got Liam Spencer jumping up to second place on a 1:08.54, so not his best either. Also, LimeMitch exiting the pits as well. We'll cut over to Steve Brko, so he's just started his lap. So he now leads the championship after a bit of a disastrous round for his teammate LimeMitch, who had won the opening 4 races, but knocked off the road in the final race at Albert Park and wasn't able to take a win in race 1 at Symmons, and then ran out of fuel and was a non-starter for the final race at Symmons. So he's Brko into the championship lead with Netherealmian into second. Brko on his hot lap here, coming up to a lot of traffic, coming up to the chicane here, including his teammate. He's had to get off the road, and that would have cost him a bit of time because I think Brko did get on the brakes nice and early. Now he's got Cracker in front of him in the second of the Brad Jones racing cars. And yeah, down by 1/10.5 at the middle split. Now, I don't know if if Cracker's on a lap.
Yeah, he is.
He might benefit from the draft from Cracker here, Steve Brko, if he can keep it straight.
It's an okay run through the final corner, but he got, I think, a little bit too much curve there. It would have cost him a little bit of time. Run to the line, he's nicked it right in the end. Yeah, that run through that final corner really did help him there. Fantastic final sector.
Yeah, it was 3/10 faster than Turmo in the final sector.
We did see Turmo was very, very tentative when we were on board with him coming through the final 2 turns. Well, Brko, even though he did have Cracker in front of him, able to set a fantastic lap. There's Mitch in the background, sent it into the barrier. So I reckon he picked up a track cut and has just decided to bin it. So that's going to be difficult for him to recover. Obviously, with over 20 cars out there, obviously for this one tonight, that's going to make it very difficult for him to recover through the field, while his championship obviously contenders are going to be starting probably towards the front end of the field. Certainly Steve Brko is.
Well, he's pretty used to doing his reverse grids races, starting from the rear after winning his first 2 races, so he should be pretty good at it.
He should be, but at the same time, in round 1 I think we had 11 drivers. In round 2, again I think it was about 11 or 12. And again, at Symmons, it was only 7 or 8 cars. Yeah, I think it was 7 cars. But tonight, though, with over 20 cars and only one, a lap over a minute long, he's going to need a bit of luck on the opening lap.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time to make up those places, but we'll see how he goes.
Looks like Brian's the only one on a flyer at the moment. There seems to be a gaggle that just left the pits.
Yeah, we'll jump over to him at the moment. I think we've got Rory Smith also on a lap. No, it says he's finished. So Brian Walsh is the only one on a time lap at the moment. 1.8 down.
For Brian, he's only 1.8 down, so it's looking good for him.
Yeah, obviously we will probably lose time to Brko in the final sector, but if he can keep it within striking distance, he might find himself maybe sneaking in between, let's see, 8th and 9th, but he ran a little bit wide there at the final corner, and he just sneaks up into a temporary 10th place.
BDS, our race 3 winner from last round, has just started his lap.
He's got Gary Neville in front of him in the Bodlo car. This is Gary Neville's first round of the season, so it's good to see him jumping in for a run. And BDS pretty much 3/10 down in the first split.
Gary gets out of the way quite nicely there.
Yeah, does a smart job there. And I think BDS, for him, is going to be key the first couple laps. Because he's very, very aggressive. He can get through that. He could obviously challenge Brko and the light in front of him, but if he's over aggressive, you might see him obviously light it up too much and end up off the road. He's within striking distance between himself and Brko. He's in fact a fraction faster in the middle sector.
Yeah, very good middle sector there.
And now
he's had a good run to the finish.
He's finished the lap off strong, but not quite as strong as Brko at the end. So he lost about half a tenth in that final sector, but still 3rd place, only 2/10 away from Brko. And I've also seen Matt Webb jump up into P4 as well. So solid effort from him. He's never raced a supercar as well. Being a mate of mine, I can't recall him ever driving a car, so putting a P4 on debut is a solid effort. Also got Glenn Miles out there on a lap at the moment. He's at the 2nd split. What can he do?
Also, we've had Keelan Duncan just go up to 8th in the Norton car.
Got Matt Cecil in 5th and Wayne in 6th, in front of his son in 7th as well.
And Nether's just heading through the last set of corners. He's half a second down, but he could be on for at least a couple of rows off the front row.
A bit conservative to the final corner, but doesn't make a mistake. And he'll go P5, so that's a solid effort from him. He wasn't looking too good in practice, but solid effort so far in qualifying to be in the top 5. As we see Gary Neville cross the line to go P10. Just having a look around, got Rhodey out there on a lap. Bulger's about to complete his in the Styx Techno Autosports car.
Oh, it's looking good.
Uses all the road, a little bit of grass on the exit. He's pushed hard. It's going to be a decent lap, and he'll go P8 on a 1:05.3 for Steve Bulger.
We haven't picked it up, but Michael Coulston's also finished his lap, sitting at 19th.
He's just been beaten by Rhodey as well. He's now just gone 19th as well. So I think that's just about everybody. Let's just have a look at live races as well, actually. Yes, that's everybody has completed a lap. Rory Smith has got 2 sectors to his name, but he must have picked up a track card or gone off the road because he's back into the pit lane. Alright, so we'll just go over the qualifying results for you. Still got about 45 seconds left in the session before it ticks over, so that gives us plenty of time to go over things. So it will be Steve Brko, our new championship leader, will be starting from the front row. Turmo, his best effort of the season so far, will join him on the front row. BDS will start 3rd. Matt Webb will start in 4th, with Nether in 5th. With obviously Cecil, solid job in his first outing as well. We'll start P6. Wayne ahead of his son, as we mentioned earlier, starting in 7th. Bulger splitting the 2. We'll start in 8th. Liam Spencer in 9th. Kalen Duncan starting in 10th. And, well, Will, as you're the newcomer, why don't you round out the rest of the field for us?
What number were we up to?
Up to Gary Neville in 11th.
So yes, we've got John McDonald. Unfortunately, he didn't want to call his team Happy Meal Racing, but still wanting to get that into him. Snipes in 13th. Cracker, unfortunately, down in 14th. It's a bit lower than we'd normally see him. Chris Bacon, 15th. Wayne Whitmore, 16th. Wayne's got a bit of speed in him as well, so if he can hold it together through the race, I anticipate him jumping up. Brian Walsh, good performance in 17th, beside his mate Glenn Miles in 18th. Rhodey, unfortunately, wasn't able to get a great lap together, sitting in 19th alongside Mike Coulston in 20th. And the last 3, Thomas Cole, LimeMitch, quite low on the grid, considering LimeMitch's experience, and then we've also got Rory Smith running out the top 23.
And then we have Scott Stancliffe obviously rounding out the field completely. Well, with that, we'll just have a short break as I've got to conduct the driver's briefing, but we shall be back in about 5 or so minutes' time as we'll run through the championship standings, the circuit, and then obviously race 1 of the evening. Don't go anywhere. Alright, and welcome back. To apologise for the obviously long sort of break there as we had to conduct the drives rigging. There being a number of new drivers meant we had to sort of go over things and make sure all the new guys knew what the dealio was. But obviously you've got 1.5 minutes until the session ticks over, so that gives us a little bit of time obviously to go over obviously the format and the circuit for this evening. So as you can see on your screen, we're at Pukekohe Park Raceway in New Zealand, 2.841 kilometres long, 11 corners, and tonight we have 3 races, each being 15 laps long. And in fact, we've even had a late joiner in Darkon join the server. He did message me earlier saying he was going to be a bit late, but he has made it, which is good to see. Hopefully he's able to lap the track nicely. But, well, lads, what do you think is going to be the trouble spots on this circuit for a lot of these Super 2 drivers?
For me personally, I think turn 1 being as bumpy as it is, if you're going to go in there 2x2, the person on the outside is definitely going to get speared off into the to the weeds there, and it's going to be all hell there if this car's further up ahead of them.
Yeah, I'd agree. Turn 2, 3, 4, all the way through it. The car's pretty unstable, and you've got it weighted to one side and then the other side. So I'm anticipating a lot of lock brakes around there. Also, the rear or the back straight chicane, the curbs are quite high there. So my bet is there's going to be at least one car tipped over tonight.
You'd think there'd be more than one.
I think we did see, I think I saw Dwayne Davies around on his roof going through that chicane as well. Obviously, session is just about to tick over, but unfortunately, Darkon's just left the game. But it will give us a little bit of time to go over the championship standings. So as you can see on your screen, Steve Brko currently leading the championship on 945 points. And, 39 points clear of Netherealmian. Both of them fairly consistent. Obviously, Brko's worst result was the second race at Adelaide. I think he finished in 6th on that occasion. While Nether, he didn't have the greatest start in Adelaide, Rossi, but he's come on strong ever since.
Yeah, his season's really starting to come together now. He got a win, it was last time out, wasn't it? And he's really built it from there.
Yep, and then we've got Termo and LimeMitch very close together in the standings. Obviously, LimeMitch being the front runner and pace setter for the majority of the series will be starting at the back for this one due to, not being able to set a lap in qualifying. So he'll be starting 23rd for this one. Got Steve Bolger there in 5th. Wayne Spencer on 489 in 6th place. Rhodey, nice job in 7th on 477. Liam Spencer, obviously now counted because he drove in the last round, not Wayne, even though it was under his account. So he's on 381 points. Glenn Miles on 330. Mike Coulston on 318. Then flicking over the page, we've got BDS on 258. Blake Tilbrook, I should say. See, he drove at Albert Park, but hasn't been since or before. And then we've got Cracker and Wayne Whitmore rounding out the drivers that have raced so far. So it's going to be a number of more drivers added to that list next round.
A lot more new names to learn.
Yeah, you certainly do. All right. Well, the formation lap is underway, and Rossi, you've done it in the past. Why don't you lead us through the field once again on this formation lap?
Beautiful. Well, we've got our championship leader, Steve Brko, on pole position. Beside him, Termo with his season best so far, qualifying result in 2nd. BDS, he's got a little bit more practice in this time round, so he starts 3rd. Matt Webb, a familiar name to AMSOZ, he starts 4th in his debut for Super 2. Netherealmian in 5th, probably wishes he was a little higher, but he's in a good position there. Matt Cecil also on his debut in 6th. Wayne of the Spencers, he is leading 7th. Steve Bolger in 8th. Liam Spencer in 9th. Kalen Duncan, he's on his debut too in the first of the Northern Hornets in 10th. Gary Neville in the Tickford Bottle O Falcon is 11th. John McDonald in the second of the Nizens in 12th. NZ Snipes in 13th. Cracker in 14th, probably expected him a little higher like Will said, but he's there in 14th. Crispy Bacon, what a name, he's in 15th. Wayne Whitmore in 16th. Brian Walsh making his return back to the series in 17th. Glenn Miles, he starts in 18th. Brady in 19th. Mike Coulston, he was a lot higher come Adelaide, so he'd be very disappointed with his result at 20th. Thomas Cole, 21st. Scott Stancliffe in the Red Bull Commodore in 22nd. LimeMitch with his no result in qualifying in 23rd. And Rory Smith rounds out the grid in 24th.
Yeah, so a massive 24-car grid around a very, very small circuit. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? I think the first chicane is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath in each of the races, but hopefully everybody's able to get through there nice and clean. All right, we're waiting for the guys at the back of the field to form up. Got LimeMitch very, very aggressive, pointing his car to the middle of the circuit.
He's got his eyes on.
Yeah, he's going to need a good start here. Still waiting.
All I can say, good luck if you're in the middle.
Just good. I think just good luck everybody in the field tonight, because it's going to be very, very interesting. And I don't think someone's not lined up that should be. Oh, it's been reset.
Here we go.
So the lights are on. Away we go at Pukekohe Raceway. Looks like Bulger's. We got Walsh off. We got one of the car sales off in the background as well. There's Cracker off in the barrier as well. Got Webb and BDS side by side at turn 1. And now the run to the chicane. Will everybody make it through here? Oh, we've got Bulger running a little bit wide. He's going to have to go across the grass. But outside of that, looks like everybody has thankfully made it through there. Oh, see one of the cars a little bit wide off. I think that's just more lag than anything. It looks like everybody, for the most part, has made it through undamaged as BDS has a look up the inside of Turmo.
Yeah, well, everybody's sort of in a single file line now, so it's their safest spot.
We've got Gary Neville actually in the background trying to make a move past the Nissan, and he's got passes. That's Bulger around, unfortunately, and he's sort of a bit of a pinball back there, and that's going to drop him to the back of the field. It compromised Rhodey, and Glenn Miles has also got Crispy Bacon trying to make a move on Walsh at the hairpin. A little bit of contact. He's going to try and go past 2 cars, and instead he's gone around and, again, a little bit of a pinball. And to the back of the field, and I've got Webb and BDS battling out. Webb having a look at turn 1. He's not going to get the job done, but certainly putting BDS under a bit of pressure.
While this all happens, Steve Brko's gotten a little bit of a lead, but he's had a few lockups into 2 and 3, so that's brought Turmo back into it.
Yeah, there's nothing much in it, and Turmo's going to have a nice slipstream. We have seen, obviously, at Albert Park, the slipstream played a major role, and I reckon it's going to here this evening. If Webb wants to stick with the front 3, he's going to need to get back in that slipstream.
Wayne and Nether back up here at the chicane, side by side.
Yeah, Nether will have the inside for the second part, but Wayne's going to go around the outside.
The outside.
Well done for Wayne.
That is a nice move, and up to P5, but he's lost the back end a little bit. I don't know if there's a little bit of contact, but he's had to hold on a little bit. So Nether down to 6. Wayne's had a good start, up 2 spots, up into P5.
Wayne made that look easy. Nether's normally notorious for being one of the best defenders, so well done.
Yeah, he's caught him off guard there.
Top 3 have run away with it a bit here.
Yeah, they certainly have. 105.0 for Brko, and then 104.6 for Turmo, and BDS a 104.6 as well. So these front 3, a little bit of a gap over Matt Webb. Matt Webb sort of in no man's land at the moment, although he's actually starting to come under pressure by the looks of it. Spencer is looking pretty quick out there.
Turmo had a really good run off that last corner.
Yeah, Brko ended up
having a look.
Swerving.
Very, very close.
So that was the curb I was talking about that you could quite easily flip at.
Yeah, did see Dwayne Davies go on his roof there. As BDS has a decent run out of the chicane. He's having a look up the inside at the hairpin.
Oh, that was textbook lineup of Turmo there.
And, well, they're still going to go side by side. Now, I do have a little bit of PTSD when cars go side by side. This back section of Pukekohe.
They sorted out.
They sorted out, yeah. So BDS sort of backs off, lets Turmo go. And with those guys battling, it's allowed Brko to get away behind them. Webb holding on. And we've also got Liam Spencer trying to make a move on Nether as well. It's got a little bit of an overlap into turn 1. Right, so Nether holds on for now.
I just saw in the background Gary must have just caught the grass coming out of the last corner. He was all sorts of sideways.
Also have Wayne applying the blowtorch to Matt Webb here.
Yeah, so we've got obviously the front three, and then we've got from Webb all the way down to LimeMitch, who's we haven't said anything, but LimeMitch, fantastic start, up to 9th from 23rd on the grid. So he's done pretty much a perfect job, it has to be said, to get himself back up the field. And he's right behind Matt Cecil in the Cool Drive car for Brad Jones Racing. He's up the inside and up another spot. So there it is, up 15 spots in 4 laps. So what an effort.
Pick up your game, Brenton Foley.
Yeah, didn't see
So
Foley
really
do it.
it's been the detriment of poor Steve Bolger. He's down 8 spots at the moment. He's fighting back though.
Yeah, he did get sent around at the chicane on the opening lap, which sent him to the back of the field. It's back up to 16th. And we'll cut to that actually. So he's just got ahead of Rhodey and Snipes. And he's setting his sights on Glenn Miles and Whitmore, who are side by side into turn 1.
Turmo just got the fastest lap of the race at 1:03.8.
And
So-
Wayne looks to be having a look at Webb here.
In fact,
Going
both
up the inside.
just looking at live races, both the front two 1:03.8 on that last lap around, 8 tenths faster than BDS, as Wayne gets by Webb for P4.
Yeah, so I wonder if BDS just made a little mistake on that lap to just fall behind, because he was pretty consistent with the top 3 for the first few laps of this race.
Got Webb and Liam Spencer side by side coming through the final sector here. Webb has to concede position, so Webb down 2 spots in a lap, and he's wide at the final corner. That's going to give Nether a good run. Nether is he's going to have 2 sets of eyes, one looking forward, one set looking forward, one set looking back, because he's got LimeMitch right behind him, and he doesn't want to let the Spencers get away. It's his contact between himself and Webb at the first chicane, and there's another couple of spots for LimeMitch. He's now up 17 spots, and Liam Spencer's had a bad run through the chicane as well, and LimeMitch is probably going to move up into the top 5 by the end of this lap.
Absolutely fantastic run by LimeMitch.
And there it is, up the inside. Spencer unable to hold on. Matt Webb out of that contact. Hasn't lost too badly, only down to 7th. But he's got Matt Cecil behind him. At the front, Brko doing what he has to do on the last lap. Again, he set the fastest lap of the race, just a hair faster than Termo's fastest lap, but he was 8 tenths faster than Termo on that last lap. So he's looking quite good out there at the moment, is Steve Brko.
He's asserting his dominance now.
Yeah, Termo's fallen off this a bit, and it's allowed Steve to just put his head down.
Well, all the top 4 in that last lap separated by only a tenth of a second lap time wise, with in fact Brko the slowest by a tenth. But it will be interesting to see now that obviously LimeMitch does have a little bit of clear air between himself and Wayne Spencer, to see what lap times he can churn out.
Well, he's definitely got the pace in it. It's just a matter of if he can get sort of the right lines going through now. He wasn't overly the fastest though in practice, so.
Got Webb and Cecil battling now. Big lock-up for Matt Webb coming into, I think that's turn 4 at the chicane there. I'm not exactly sure what, turn 5 I believe. Turn 5 or 6 at the chicane there. Big lock-up. But Cecil unable to make him pay. And, team-wise, Nether will be happy that Gary Neville's shown up. Gary Neville in 10th. He's doing a solid job. Because Nether at the moment, he's been the only driver from Tickford Racing to score points. There is a team's championship. I did think about just having drivers' championship, but because we have teams, I do have a points tally for the teams out there as well. So we will go over that at some point this evening. But Nether currently in 9th after that contact on that last lap between himself. Matt Webb sent him off into the boonies. Now we'll just have a look through the field. What's McDonald and Stancliffe having a nice battle. Stancliffe doing a solid job, up 9 spots in 13th and looking to move up into 12th. And behind him, Whitmore also trying to recover. Cracker in 15th. He's got a very angry battle pack behind him with Glenn Miles, a recovering Steve Bolger, and Rory Smith, Rhodey, NZ Snipes, and Brian Walsh not too far away either.
Yeah, well, you just missed NZ Snipes and Brian Walsh going 2x2 through the first set of corners. They did bump each other, but managed to keep it going through to turn 2, turn 3.
Now, guys, Michael Coulston's stationary around at the hairpin.
Ooh,
And he's out.
Unfortunate.
He's out.
So we'll just have a look and see what's happened, or try and see what's happened on a replay. So he's just gassed it up out of the hairpin, and
Cracker spun at the hairpin. Sorry.
indeed he has. Also got BDS's closed up on Turmo. We'll just have a look and see what Cracker has done here at the hairpin. I'm going to hazard a guess he's just a little bit too lead-footed, and in fact that is the case. Round he goes. And unfortunately, back to 21st for him. Also got Thomas Cole has gone around as well at the hairpin. Got BDS has got by Turmo. So cut to a replay to see what happened there. Also got in the background LimeMitch as we look at that replay. All kinds of sideways out of turn number 4. But BDS making a late move into the chicane, or had a look anyway, but it's sent it up the inside at the second part of the chicane and caught Turmo off guard and got around him, but Turmo not giving that up, and only a cigarette paper separating the two into turn 1.
It's one of the best passing moves you can do on this track if you can get it right. It's just such a clean overtake, and it's quite fun to do if you can do it right.
Yeah, so it doesn't give the... Sorry about that, Will. It just gives the car sort of in front. It doesn't give him any chance to sort of defend because there's such a short distance between the two corners. And yeah, Billy, textbook move, and now up into second.
Anyone wondering about Michael Coulston? Poor guy's had some steering wheel issues. With the virus outbreak, he's stuck in the UK, not with his normal rig setup, so he bought a cheap wheel at the start of the week and it's not working for him.
And well, while that's been going on, obviously Thomas Cole still struggling around there to get around the field. Had Matt Webb lose out to Matt Cecil. So Cecil now up into 7th. And I think Webb's actually made a mistake because he's dropped a number of 3 seconds behind Cecil and 4 behind Spencer. And they were fairly close together. So it looked like the battle between Webb and Nether will probably get underway in the last 5 laps of this one. It's got a little bit of lag, and just as we've cut to him, Caelan Duncan's vanished off the face of the virtual world. So shame for him. Actually got John McDonald into the pit lane, so perhaps he's underfueled it, and because there is no compulsory pit stop in this series, and McDonald into the pits.
I think Turmo's had a bit of an off. He's dropped down to 3rd now.
No, he was overtaken on the last lap by BDS. So I think BDS just caught him up and got by. Wayne still hanging on to P4, but slowly LimeMitch is reeling him in. And in fact, Liam and Cecil also slowly starting to reel in Wayne in P4. Cecil gets a bit wide at the hairpin. Webb locks up at the hairpin. And Nether also locks it up at the hairpin. But I was looking back through the field. Stancliffe now up into 11th. So he's had a good run, up 11 spots, and also slowly starting to close in on Gary Neville as well. So nice run from Scott Stancliffe in 11th. Further down the field, Bolger and Smith battling out for 12th. Bolger up the inside, gasses it up, holds on for dear life, and they're going to be side by side for the final couple of corners though.
Looks like Chermo might be having another attack at BDS now. He's sort of ranged up onto the back of him.
Also had LimeMitch close right up on Wayne Spencer on this lap as well. In fact, looks like Brko's lost a bit of time here. Just looking at the first sector, he very off sector for him, 13-1 on this lap. And he's lost another half a second in the first sector on this lap has Brko. So the gap was over 2 to 3, almost 3 seconds. 1:05.0 for Brko on that last lap. Only 1.5 seconds now between himself and BDS. So perhaps we might see another late charge, late battle for the lead in this one if Brko doesn't pick up his pace.
Now Wayne and LimeMitch are coming up to lap traffic here, so it'll be interesting how they make it past.
And so BDS Turmo get by fairly quickly. Looks like lap traffic is Nissan getting out of the way for Spencer and LimeMitch. Hopefully lap traffic See, knows that Liam's not too far away as well. Also got yellow flags out, and that's one of the Nissans and Cracker as well. So Cracker has had a good couple laps. And I think that's Chris P. Bacon there in the Nissan Altima in the Hornet car.
LimeMitch has just gone up the back of Wayne at the hairpin.
No.
They're both fine.
Lots of run butts, so he's not happy.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, just cut to a replay. Bit of a hit. That's
Not quite sure why Lime's not happy though.
thankfully turning his lights off because you're not meant to race with them on. But he is right there. He wants P4. It's been a great recovery drive, as you can see on your screen. Hopefully, up 18 spots. Going to try and go around the outside at turn 1 and turn 2 and 3. Going to try and chuck it up the inside at turn 4. Miles in the way. Thankfully, Miles getting out of the way. But LimeMitch going to have to pull back into the slipstream if he wants to make a move up into, I think that's turn number 5 or 6 there, coming up.
Yeah, even though Glenn got out of the way, I think it still balked Lime a little bit there. But up the inside here, and he's made the move stick.
Yeah, it didn't look like Wayne fought that too hard. But Wayne's going to have to keep on his toes because even though LimeMitch may get away, he's got his son right there with him. And Matt Cecil not too far away either, as we got Cracker off in front of LimeMitch again. And I think Termo's gone. Well, we've got a battle for the lead now, so another poor lap from Brko and a decent lap from BDS. A gap now 0.2 of a second. Termo's dropped back 2 seconds, so 1:05.0 for Termo on that last lap. So he's made a mistake, perhaps caught some traffic. But on the final lap we are, and we have a battle for the lead, gentlemen.
Billy's got a better run here, and Steve Brko's gone straight to the inside doing the F3 lines.
Now he's defended once, so he can't move over again.
Oh, surely he's going to send it.
Well, he's gone to cover the inside as Brko. He's got to watch for this next corner, though. We've seen Billy pass here before. He's going to try it
Billy's done
again.
that very well. But now Steve's going to have the inside to the hairpin.
Now, can BDS get him on the switchback? No. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two. BDS is going to send it anyway up the inside. There is yellow flag, but in the end, I don't think there's much they could do about that. But BDS into the lead for now. Brko's going to try and go around the outside. He will have the inside for the final corner. And
this is the last lap, guys.
This is the last lap. This is for the win, and it's going to be a drag. Brko will hold on just in the end. Less than a tenth separating the two. Termo will finish in P3. LimeMitch will recover. Up 19 spots to finish in P4, but we've had the Spencers have lost position because Cecil's in P5. Nether's found his way up into P6 in the end. Matt Webb is behind him in 7th. So what has happened there? And we've got Gary Neville up into 8th. We've got Wayne going slowly. So what has happened to Wayne? Just cut to a replay, actually. What has happened here?
Has he run out of fuel?
It's just... not this again.
It's just right on board with him. He's cut the chicane and gone slowly. Yeah, he's out of fuel. Wayne Spencer on the last lap has run out of fuel. What has happened to Liam? I reckon Liam's down in 18th spot. Liam went into the pits, so Liam must have been a lap short of fuel as well. They're going to both be 5th and 6th in the end, but it's cost them dearly. We did see it at Symmons Plains as well, but just to run through the field in what has been a chaotic finish. Matt Cecil has come home P5 in the end. A nice, solid, consistent drive. Netherealmian has recovered nicely in the end to finish in P6. Matt Webb, a little disappointed he's gone backwards in the field, but for a first time in a supercar, not bad in 7th place. Gary Neville, again, didn't make too many errors. Nice and consistent, solid 8th in the end. Wayne Whitmore recovering nicely to 9th, up 7 spots. Steve Bolger, obviously caught up in that first lap accident down there at the chicane. Recovered nicely after being sent to the back of the field to finish in 10th. Snipes finishing 11th in the end in his debut, so solid start from him. Brian Walsh 12th place. Wayne running out of fuel, but he's getting a push to the finish line here, so that will count. If he gets it to the start-finish line, that will count as a finish, which he will make it from here. So, pardon me, Wayne will finish in 13th in the end. McDonald actually could have passed him for position in the end there. No, he was a lap behind him, so he couldn't have actually. But McDonald in 14th. Crispy Bacon in 15th. Glenn Miles 16th. Stancliffe in the end must have had a pit stop towards the end of the race because he was running as high as 11th. So we did see, I did catch a number of the drivers entering the pit lane on the last 2 laps of the race. So he must have been one of those guys. Liam Spencer, the other Triple Eight car that did have to make it to the pits on that last lap there, he was running in the top 5. So big, or top 5, top 6. So big shame for him. Rody finishing in 19th. Rory Smith, the last of the finishers in 20th. Cracker, he DNF'd in the end. In fact, Thomas Cole did finish, so he will be eligible for the reverse grid race. Caelan Duncan, he must have had an internet disconnection, and then unfortunately Mike Coulston with those wheel issues. Well, gentlemen, with that, I'm speechless after that finish. What an end to race 1 here this evening.
Well, it was pretty chaotic first couple laps, but then went quiet, and that last lap just really turned on there with the BDS and Steve Brko battle. And I honestly thought BDS was going to get that then. He was throwing all the moves out there, and Brko was able to hold his car wide enough to hold on to the win.
Yeah, he was just able to hold on. And yeah, just like you, I thought BDS had it for a moment, but Brko just able to get that good run out of the hairpin and backed himself to hold it on around the outside at the penultimate couple corners, and then that gave him the inside for the final turn. If you got the inside at the final corner there, you can carry a little bit more speed, force the guy on the outside a little bit wider to get out of the throttle, and in the end, able to hold on in the end. It was actually good driving between those two, as you said at the time, Rossi. No contact between the two, good respect, and Brko taking the win, and BDS, in the end, made him work for it, but good solid second from him as well.
It's got to be said, what a fantastic run by LimeMitch, up 19 spots.
Yeah, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's a shame we missed it.
Obviously, there was action everywhere, and with there being so many cars, it did make it a bit difficult to sort of follow everything that was going on. But yeah, it would have been the second lap. I think we realised, hold on a minute, he's up 14 spots or whatever it was. So fantastic effort from LimeMitch, who didn't set a lap in qualifying, to in the end finishing in 4th place. Fantastic effort. Fastest lap for him was a 14.5, so doesn't quite have the pace of the front runners, but at that stage when everybody was setting the fastest lap times, he was in a bit of traffic compared to those in front of him.
You say that for the lap time, but BDS was a 104.2, so he was a good half second away from Termo and Steve, but was just able to be more consistent than them.
Certainly was. All right, gentlemen. Well, we'll just take a short 5-minute break. So those that are watching on the broadcast can go grab a drink or a bit of a bite to eat. We've just got to set the grid for the, obviously, second race of the evening. 3 races tonight, with the second and third races being reverse grids. So you thought race 1 was chaotic in the opening stages. You've not seen nothing yet. So join us in 5 minutes as we get race 2 ready. Alright, and welcome back to round 4 of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship here from Pukekohe Park Raceway. So, it's a very, very action-packed race 1 with BDS giving Steve Brko a run for his money after Brko built up a nice little lead in the middle of race 1 there, but BDS fighting hard towards the end. Was ahead for about 50, 60, 70 metres, but Brko didn't want to give it up on that last lap and holding on in the end. Termo, very solid P3 in the end. But I think, guys, drive, at least so far of the evening, LimeMitch, starting 23rd on the grid after not setting a lap in qualifying, able to jump up a good, 9 or 10 spots on the opening lap and finishing in fourth place there.
Yeah, that's an absolutely insane effort from him.
Yeah, well, you definitely can't put it past him because he obviously didn't make any mistakes, didn't take nobody off, and didn't look like there was any damage to his car. So, yeah, good work.
Very, very solid effort from him, and still hurting him in the championship was he losing 30 points to Steve Brko in the championship standings, but still damage limitation and did all he could. But obviously now that we do have a little bit of time just to sort of go over the standings that we had prior to the round, might as well bring up the team standings. There we go, there's the right screen. So as you can see on your screen, Holden Racing Team have dominated the season so far with 1,671 points. Techno Autosport would probably be a surprising team in second place, but they've had both drivers consistently show up for the first to all rounds of the championship so far, so that sees them on 1362, and after a nice solid result from Termo, they're certainly doing no harm there. It's just unfortunate for them that Bulger was caught up in the opening lap. Super Monster Racing with Brian Walsh and Wayne, with also Liam at the last round picking up points for them, sees them on 1,032. This is prior to tonight's racing. Tickford on 906, that was all Netherealmian's points, but tonight with Neville picking up points, that should see them probably put Super Monster Racing under a lot of pressure. So, 888 Satellite Racing with Rody and Miles on 807. Ford Performance Racing with Mike Coulston and BDS on 576. DJR Team Penske on 222. Bit of a shame we don't have any of the Xbox Falcons here this evening. And then we have Brad Jones Racing on 180, but that will surely change after Matt Sissel's fine result in race 1. And Erebus on 78. Well, Will, you haven't done too much reverse, obviously, grid racing so much in a supercar or in any of these sort of lower series like TCR and stuff like that. But with this circuit, how would you attack starting from the back of the field, obviously with so many cars in front of you?
Well, the racer in you wants to just push hard, but I think if you keep your head on and just hold back for the lap, you'll make up quite a few positions. So I'd be holding back as much as possible and letting everyone else drop off the circuit.
Certainly. The early standing is going to be important, but at the same time, as you said, you don't really want to be throwing the car into situations where you could end up obviously pointing the wrong way or off into a barrier. So you want to be conservative, but I think at the same time you do want to be a little bit aggressive, so those around you that you're maybe racing in the championship or that are a personal target of yours, you don't want to let them get away either.
No, definitely not. So when I say hold back, maybe not too far back, but yeah, keeping close to everyone, but making sure that you've got enough space that you're not going to be punted off the track if someone else is having issues. Yeah,
it's certainly a real balancing act, finding obviously where to be really aggressive and knowing when to sort of hold your punches and save it for later on.
100%.
And Rossi, obviously you have been through obviously a number of reverse grid races. What's your biggest takeaway when having to obviously conduct yourself when starting from the back of the field in a big field like this one?
Well, the easiest thing you can do is you always think you can make the move, but you just really got to be, like Will said, you sort of got to hold back a little bit and just pick your time and place to do it. It's nice if you can do it all in the first lap, but generally 90% of the time, if you try and do it in the first lap, you're going to take somebody else out with you. But just keep calm, and just look out for your opportunities, because they're going to come for you if you're fast enough. But you want to be careful about it. Otherwise, you could end up just falling back yourself, and what you could have gained is no hope for you coming into later in the race.
And I think the one man, obviously, we did see LimeMitch come through the field very, very well in that first race that started from the back. LimeMitch, I think he's going to be one certainly to look out for, because obviously he's been around this track once before, where he started at the back and he was able to make his way through the field very, very efficiently. So he's going to be one where if he can sort of work his way through the field quickly early on, he could get himself back in the championship hunt if obviously Brko and Nether sort of falter a little bit as they struggle through the field.
Yeah, well, he just needs to do what he basically done in the first race. He's got majority of the people, well, basically he was catching up to everybody because he started virtually last, but he's got a couple more faster guys closer to him at the back, but if he can get through them fast enough, he's definitely going to be in a shoo-in to just fly through the rest of them.
It certainly is. Well, we've ticked over to the race session. We're going to have 24 starters with this one. So Darkon has made the field, and we do have an Xbox Falcon making the grid, which is good to see. Hopefully he's able to have a nice, enjoyable run in this one and work his way up through the field. But now we just wait, obviously, for the drivers to form up on the grid and then get us underway for race 2 or 3 this evening. So almost everybody out there on the grid. Let's just have a look through and see if there's anyone waiting. We do have Rory Smith still in the pits, and he's missed the start. So Rossi, if you could please type in chat for him not to go past the control line before the lights go green. It'd be handy, because if you've not experienced this before, you have to wait until all drivers pass the first sector once the race goes green. Otherwise you find yourself DQ'd, and you can't fix that one. Alright, well, with Rossi sorting that out, Will, why don't you run us through the grid for race 2?
Yep, so we've got Thomas Cole starting on pole with Rhodey in second spot. They actually just had a little bit of contact, oddly, on the warm-up lap. Liam Spencer, we know, is a quick driver starting on third, so expecting a good result out of him. Scott Stancliffe, been having issues all day and finally got the mod working, so starting out of fourth. Glenn Miles out of fifth with Chris Bacon out of sixth. John McDonald in seventh with Wayne Spencer in eighth. Brian Walsh ninth with NZ Snipes in 10th. Steve Bolger midfield in 11th, expecting good things out of him. Wayne Whitmore out of 12th with Gary Neville just behind him. Matt Webb in 14th with Nether in 15th. Matt Cecil in 16th with LimeMitch in 17th. It'll be great to see his fight back in this race. Termo in 18th with BDS in 19th spot. BDS Hothead will be interesting in this reverse grid.
He prefers the term Paul Morris.
Steve Brko in 20th, winner of race 1, with Rory Smith starting in the pits. Kaylin Duncan in 22nd. Darko is running into a wall.
It looks like he might be having an issue.
And Cracker at the rear of the grid. It's quite weird to see Cracker so far down the grids for these two races so far.
Yeah, hopefully he can have a nice clean run in this one and is able to bring it home for Brad Jones Racing. We'll just have a look at the back and see. Looks like Darkon might be, he's dropped out unfortunately. So Darkon out of this one, so he's having issues. Anyway, the lights are on and we're about to go racing for race 2. Away we go. No
Liam
jump starts.
Spencer's all over the shop, but had a good start.
Oh, we got Wayne also had a good start as well.
They fall wide.
Yeah, a lot of side-by-side action through turn 1. Now the tricky bit. turns 2, 3, and 4 as around goes Liam.
Spencer's around and Cole's around.
Around goes Cole. Neither due to contact, but fortunate for them, Rory Smith's got away. He hasn't been disqualified, which is good to see. But Rhodey leads us away once again. He led at Symmons Plains. He's leading now, but he's got Wayne right behind him. And we've also seen LimeMitch is already up into P5. He's looking to make it up into third. A little bit of contact, and he's up into third.
He's done it.
So it looks like the Breton Foley Award's going to go to LimeMitch this evening. So LimeMitch already up to third, and well, he's doing all he can to claw his way back in the championship.
Wayne's got past Rhodey as well.
So absolute bananas start from LimeMitch.
We've got a spinner.
That's Bolger. That's Bolger round again. So again, the first laps have not been kind to him this evening, and he's going to go to the back of the field. Let's just run through the field as they go over the start-finish line. So we've got Wayne Rhodey with LimeMitch right there. Got Scott Stancliffe, Chris P. Bacon, John McDonald, Glenn Miles, and we've got Gary Neville. Oh, a number of cars there. Look at 4 wide. And a lot of racing back there. In fact, we'll cut to it. It looks like LimeMitch having a look at Rhodey. So I think that's Walsh off in the grass down there. And he's off there. Got that's Brko around as well in the grass. I think that's Crispy Bacon around. Yep, he's around in the Norton car. Bit of contact between Whitmore and Duncan in the other Norton car. They've got Liam Spencer dropping behind Matt Webb. Webb looking to make a move on BDS. They just lost out to Snipes there in the Jack Daniels car. Snipes now outbrake himself at the hairpin. BDS holding on for now. And those two got to watch as Snipes rejoins the track. They're going to go too wide as Liam gasses it up on the exit. BDS holds on for now. Snipes is having a look on the inside of the hairpin of Webb as well. And
while all that's happened, LimeMitch has gone to second.
And
up 15 spots.
And around goes Snipes there. Turmo hasn't had a good start. Well, he's had a decent start. He's up 4 spots, but certainly no LimeMitch out there. There's Duncan and Spencer duke it out. Cecil behind Turmo as well. It's an absolute lightning start. Yeah, lightning start from both Wayne, who's got a nice little lead over LimeMitch. But yeah, once again, LimeMitch up 15 spots in 2 laps. Fantastic effort.
But also Wayne, he's up 7. Yeah, Wayne's up 7 spots also to be in first place, so he's had no slouch either.
Yeah, we did see him.
We're going to have 3 wide into the back chicane here.
Cut back to it. It's Turmo. Oh, he's almost speared. He's almost speared into the back of Whitmore. That would have been a big accident, that one. We've also got, I think that's Glenn Miles off in the grass there as well.
So Turmo's done the right thing. He's cut the chicane, but then held back to fit back into the spot
and
he was in.
Cecil, contact between Turmo and Cecil. They sort of went 3 wide there with Duncan on the outside of all of that. There's Miles off at the penultimate corner. He's thankfully moved across the racing line. I thought that was going to be a big accident. I'm getting flashbacks. And that's Neville that's gone around there.
Gary.
So what has Gary Neville done here? We'll right on board. Or not right on... No, we will right on board. So he's just ran wide on the grass. And, around he went. Bang! Straight into the wall on the other side of the track. Around he goes. Thankfully not into the path or anybody else, but... he's actually gone around again at the first chicane, so it's all happening in the first 4 laps here on Pukekohe Raceway.
Matt Webb just got the fastest lap of the race there. A good half a second faster than LimeMitch and Wayne. But he's down at 18th position at the moment.
Yeah, down in 8th. He's behind BDS, and BDS is behind Nether. Nether is behind Rhodey, and Rhodey is right behind McDonald. So big battle pack forming for P4 now. I'd expect Nether to start putting Rhodey under a bit of pressure. Rhodey running wide at the final corner, on the grass a little bit. BDS and Webb also very, very wide, but Rhodey 2 wide, and that's going to Nether to get by and up into the top 5.
Nether up 10 spots.
Yeah, he's done a solid job. Not quite as spectacular as obviously Wayne or LimeMitch, but he's done what he's had to do. And in terms of the championship, vitally in port of Steve Brko, who we did see around at lap 1, and he's outside the top 20. Is Brko, so he's got a lot of work to do to get himself back into a decent point scoring position. So see BDS getting by Rhodey, now Webb trying to do the same thing. He's He's going to try and go around the outside. We saw a number of drivers as that's Liam Spencer's gone around again. That's Webb ahead of Rhodey. Rhodey backing out of it. And Rhodey down to P8. Webb up to 7th. BDS up to 6th. Nether up to 5th. And right behind McDonald, who's also had a solid start in his first round here in Super 2. Up 3 spots in 4th.
Wayne Whitmore had a mini offie, but he shortcutted the hairpin, but I think he resumed back where he come off, but all good there.
Well, we've got Wayne having a slow spin at the final corner. It's allowed Turmo to get by. Bulger's probably going to get by as well, and Cracker not too far away either. And we've got Brko now. He's up into 16th, so he's made up a few spots in that last lap. So perhaps a bit of action going on down the field has moved him up the field. It's vitally for him. Compared to his championship rival Nether, he's 12 seconds off the pace as Cracker's gone off the road at the first chicane. We'll cut to a little replay of that and see what he's done there.
It's just while you're doing that, Wayne Whitmore spun in front of Steve Brko then too.
Yeah, so Cracker just too much curb, and Whitmore lost it on the back of, was it turn 4 there, and so did Chris B. Bacon, and they made contact. So, and that allowed Glenn Miles now is having a look at Whitmore. That's all happening. He's got Aaron Neville a lap down now. He's getting the blue flags. He's got the leaders going through. Wayne at the moment currently leading comfortably, 2.7 seconds clear of LimeMitch, who's 5.7 seconds clear of Scott Stancliffe, who's done a really solid job. So he started towards the back of the field, but he's been nice and clean so far. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Sees himself in a podium position, but he's got a hard-charging BDS who's up 2 spots. He's passed Nether and John McDonald in the last lap to move himself up into 4th place.
Yeah, Wayne in the last 3 laps has set PBs every single lap, and he's pulling away from LimeMitch at the moment.
Well, I'm just looking at live races at the moment, and BDS is the man to watch. So purple middle sector last time out. Didn't have a great final sector. He's also set a purple first sector on this lap as well. So he is flying at the moment. 11.5 seconds with about 7 or 8 laps to go. He's not going to close down Wayne really for the lead. But perhaps if he keeps that pace up, it could maybe force Mitch to pick his pace up and maybe force him into a mistake if he starts looking at his lap times.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Scott's been all by himself all race, so having BDS charging up behind him, it'll be interesting if he can hold his own.
Yeah, now another big battle. Got Nether and McDonald now battling it out. McDonald didn't have a good run out of the final corner. He's having to go defensive into the first chicane there. With this battle going on, it's allowed Matt Webb to close right up. And in fact, I thought there might have been a little bit of contact, but thankfully there wasn't. Otherwise, Nether would have gone around there. But Nether's going to have to be wary because Webb is right there behind them. Turmo, Rhodey, and I think that's Liam Spencer all battling it out as well. So Webb, Nether side by side into the chicane. Webb, bit conservative, sort of backing out of it there, not confident under braking. So he gets out of it behind them. No, Liam holds on, Turmo holds on, but Duncan getting past Rhodey, and there's Brko, and Bulger not too far away as well.
That's an angry battle pack there.
On that last lap, Wayne missed his braking point for the the back chicane and had to straight line it.
And we did have a new fastest lap of the race as well. BDS a 1:03.9 for him, and he was 0.6 faster than first and second in Wayne and LimeMitch, and he was 1.5 seconds faster than Scott in third. So he is travelling along nicely, but still quite a long ways to go for him to catch the first two.
Now, I'm not sure if LimeMitch is going to be happy with Wayne cutting that chicane. He's made up a second and a half on him doing it.
Yeah, so he probably won't be too pleased with that one, that's for sure. BDS has actually gotten by Scott Stancliffe side by side. So we cut back to a replay. So he'd caught him by the end of the last lap. That was the fastest lap. And BDS now, let's see, Stancliffe a little bit wide at turn 1. BDS around the outside at the first chicane. A little bit of contact between the two, but he tried his best to keep it on the road. That's a good pass around the outside at the first chicane from BDS. And, well, he's now 8 seconds behind LimeMitch. And going past a very battle-scarred Norton Nissan.
So in that last sector alone, he's made up 4/10 on LimeMitch.
So LimeMitch, I wonder if you come up to traffic or if that's just pace. Further back though. McDonald was closed up on the back of Stancliffe.
BDS is around.
Oh,
BDS is around.
He's
Sorry.
just driving it too hard out there, and around he goes. He's rejoined the track right in front of the Nissan. Thankfully, no contact, and Webb's actually dropped off the back of that pack, so perhaps Webb's made a mistake somewhere. But Stancliffe now coming under a bit of pressure from McDonald. He's coming under pressure from Nether.
Yeah, Nether will be looking for the podium now, I think.
Yeah, it's right there in front of him, but he was gassed up a little bit too much out of the chicane. In fact, all of them getting a little bit sideways.
That's the issue with these guys. They've had to fight through the whole field, and that really hurts your rear tyres.
And Stancliffe a little bit wide there at the exit of the hairpin. Should hold on. I think it's just a lesson in patience for a lot of these guys. When you're trying to pass these guys, you've obviously forced your way through the field. You've had to use a lot of your tyres. Now you've just got to be patient with that right foot and pick your moment when to put your foot down and when to make a move.
BDS is right on the back of Nether already.
Yeah, no surprise there. BDS travelling along pace-wise very, very quickly. And that mistake there costing him dearly. But he probably wouldn't have caught LimeMitch in the end, but he certainly would have given him a scare. So looking a little bit further back the field. And we've got Brko now into the top 10. So he's got by Brko, he's got by he's got by Bolger, I should say. He's got by Duncan, got by Rhodey and Cecil. Cecil has
contact up front.
Third, and BDS is around.
Yeah, BDS is around. McDonald has gotten past.
Oh, Scott!
Scott's around and tapped Nether. Nether's made that one not look as bad as it actually was.
Yeah, so McDonald tried to make it up the inside like a BDS in race 1, and then Stancliffe just lost it coming out of that right-hander and made contact with McDonald. So McDonald's, and Nether, a bit of an innocent bystander in all of that, and that has allowed Webb to continue his battle with Nether, which they had in race 1, they've had in race 2. Termo also now, right up the back of these guys. Very, very angry battle pack.
Termo's a quiet achiever here. He's up 12 spots.
And got the 2 Red Bull cars side by side in the background as well. Termo's had a good run out of turn 4. It's going to force Webb to go defensive. And Webb, big lock up. He just pulls it up. He's going to run wide. Termo's going to have to go around the outside. Webb will hold on for now, but he'll be driving on 50-cent pieces for the remaining 3 laps.
Termo, does he move up the inside here? No.
He thought about it, but wants to get the old switcheroo on. Not quite close enough. And this battling is allowing Nether just to get away and to start applying the pressure to John McDonald in 3rd.
It'll be a great result for John if he can hold on to this 3rd spot. It's gone wide though on the final turn.
And Nether hasn't had a good run in the final corner either. At least not as good as what he would have hoped, but he's right there with him. Lost
Nether
a little
made
bit.
that first turn much better than John.
Yeah,
John's all over the shop.
Yeah, McDonald struggled over the bumps and lost control a little bit. Has had to cut the chicane. Hasn't had an ideal exit, and now Nether is right behind him. Matt Webb right behind Nether as well. So we could see him 3 wide into the chicane. McDonald leaving just a car width. Webb's going to try and pick the outside. McDonald outbrakes himself by a country mile. Nether outbrakes himself. Webb just sticks onto the racetrack, and Webb should take 3rd, but looks like McDonald doing the smart thing there and gifting the position back, but driver's almost running to the back. We've got a Nissan Hornet off there. Just trying to see, that is Chris P. Bacon. We've also got Stancliffe and Brko battling it out. So
Termo's around.
And Nether's around at the last corner.
Oh, it's all happening. What has happened there? We'll just cut to a bit of a replay.
Oh, Steve Brko.
And BDS is up to 3rd again.
Oh, so what has happened is that Termo's gone up the inside, left and lost control in front of Webb. Webb's helped him on his way. Webb sort of moved to the racing line, and then I think it was BDS and BDS and Nether. Contact between those guys sent them around. And out of all that, BDS up into 3rd, Nether all the way down in 10th. But I think I'm going to be busy after that one, because I don't think Nether will be too pleased with BDS just chopping the nose of Nether there, but that was just all a big mess which happens here at Pukekohe. So you see Webb, a big lock-up and a big slide, and Liam Spencer looking to move up into 4th. But Webb holding on for now. It is on.
Liam Spencer down.
Yeah, Webb thought about turning him. It gave him the space eventually, and Spencer taking the position, and Webb down to P5.
That was great driving awareness from Webb there.
He thought for a moment he was going to turn in, but pulled back at the last moment as Spencer runs a little bit wide. And McDonald also a little bit wide. Webb's had a decent run out of the final corner. They're going to be side by side at turn 1. And he's got a little bit of contact. McDonald now is in play. McDonald having a move, and they're going to go side by side, McDonald and Spencer. Now, can McDonald hold on? No, he can't. So, how there wasn't a big accident there, I don't know. And McDonald not too happy. He's got the lights on. He should turn those babies off. Unless he wants a penalty, but not too pleased with that, but still almost able to make up the spot. But Webb...
Must be said, Webb did an excellent job of holding it around turn 1 with rear contact there.
Yeah, very, very easy to lose the back end of these cars, especially at this track. There's a lot of places where you can lose it, and contact through that part of the track normally ends in a car off in the boonies. He's held on, unlike McDonald, who's gone around, and that's going to allow...
Wayne's won, by the way.
Sorry, it has been the last lap. I do apologise. It's gone very, very quickly. Wayne has won a very comfortable win in the end. LimeMitch, fantastic effort once again. He's moved up a combined almost, I think, 38 spots in the first 2 races. BDS, in the end, up 16 spots for 3rd. Webb will claim 4th. Liam Spencer in 5th. Bolger, quiet achiever at the end. They're picking up some spots and picking up 6th. Duncan, up 15 spots for 7th. McDonald, he'll be a little bit disappointed he couldn't hold on in the end. Will finish in 8th. Cecil will finish 9th. Brko will finish in 10th. Nether, we did see in the background there, not too happy with that second race there and that bit of contact with BDS, sending him down to 11th in the end. Termo will finish in 12th, so not a good race for the top 3 and 4 drivers in the championship there, with Brko, Termo and Nether all struggling. And then we have Stancliffe, who in good position for a lot of that race, throwing it away towards the end there. Rhodey in 14th, Whitmore in 15th. Rory Smith started from the pit lane, finished in 16th spot and on the lead lap, so I reckon he might be one to put in a solid drive in race 3, so he's one to look out for. Cracker in 17th, Brian Walsh 18th, Glenn Miles in 19th spot, followed by Gary Neville, who was up there, but we did see he had a big accident there coming out of the final corner, down in 20th. Snipes down in 21st, but he had a solid opening couple of laps, so look for him to try and provide a bit of action early on. Crispy Bacon, well, he provided a bit of action both on and off the track in that one. And then our sole DNF, Thomas Cole, or DNS I should say, Thomas Cole, and we did have, I think, the DJR Xbox car that was on the grid or on the formation lap, but dropped out just before the start of the race, couldn't make it. So, well, gentlemen, we missed the end of that race for the leaders crossing the start-finish line anyway, but what a race.
You'd hate to be in the mid-pack there, because that was just all action there for 15 laps, just full on.
Tell you, BDS had some ups and downs in such a short period of time. He did well to get back to 3rd. But really good work from everyone. 23 starters, 22 finishing. Really happy with these guys for that race.
Yeah, the only DNF wasn't engine, so Thomas Cole, I'm going to hazard a guess, because with damage being at 25%, because you can hit a wall in a supercar and they're very sensitive and blow up. I don't think it was because of that. I think he just would have buzzed it too hard on a downshift, and obviously that sent him, unfortunately, out of the race. But, yep, good to see everybody out there and trying to finish a race. That's the big thing about this series. It's just about to go out there, have some fun, and try and finish races, because obviously there's reverse grid races, you finish, and for finishing, you get a reward of starting towards the front end of the field. But, yeah, Rossi, as you said, that midfield, you didn't want to be stuck in there.
No, but you see the likes of LimeMitch and Wayne, who just got out of that mid-pack just virtually straight away and was able to just pull away and have a pretty much instant-free race. Unlike BDS and a couple of the others, just sort of got caught up with each other and ended up causing some of those big incidents.
Certainly, and I think what we've seen, obviously we've had a lot of time obviously in TCC and TCR with sort of reverse grid races now and obviously now with Super 2. But I think the key for a lot of these reverse grid races is that first half a lap. It seems to be where Foley, and as we've seen with LimeMitch throughout this season so far, is that first half a lap, they're able to get away off the line very well, which is important, but they're also able to have that spatial awareness as well as tenacity and smarts to make the move when they should, and when to just place their car on the outside and wait for the car in front of them to run wide and then just sail by on the straight after.
Yeah, they just seem to have that third-person vision where they just see cars in just a different light. They just know where they're going to be and when they can stick their nose in, when they can't, and just always seem to come out the other end just always on top, and it just always seems to get better and better for them.
Certainly. Well, that's the end of race 2 this evening. We'll just take a short break, probably another 5 or 10 minutes as we sort out the grid for the final race of the evening. So stick around as there's one more reverse grid race, and as we've seen so far, plenty more action in the following 30 to 40 minutes. So don't go anywhere. Alright, and welcome back to the warm-up. 5 minutes to go until the final race of the evening of what has been an action-packed round 4 Automobilista Australia Super 2 Series from Pukekohe Raceway, where I've been joined by regular Brendan Ross and Will Devonish, one of the front runners in the AMSOZ Supercar Championship. So, gentlemen, we've seen LimeMitch do it twice before. I did mention at the end, it's a combined 38 spots in both races so far. Can he do it again?
I would think he can, based on his previous results, but you don't really want to give a commentator's curse, but I'd tip that he would do it again.
Would you lock it in, Eddie, and put it down for certain, or?
I'd lock it in, Eddie, and go on the chase about it and beat the
Well, there it is. So there's a DNF right there for LimeMitch. But, yeah, I think with the way he's been going tonight, wouldn't put it past him to do it again. See, I did expect Wayne and Liam to certainly be where they started race 2 from to finish fairly well. Obviously, Wayne went on to win the race after a fantastic start. He jumped off the line and was up to, I think, second or third by turn 4. So again, he's one to look out for. Obviously, winner of race 2, but he'll be starting right down at the back of the field for this one. But Liam, I thought he sort of underperformed just a little bit. Obviously, at Symmons Plains, he went in and won a race under his dad's name, though. But he did win a race and was looking quite quick. Well, it has looked fairly decently quick around here, but just hasn't had that consistency, and the little mistakes have sort of ruined what could have been some really good results for him.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of pace just coming in off. I think he's joined last round. Just the round he did last Super 2 race, the GT3 race. He's got a lot of pace in his driving there, so he's going to be somebody to look out for later on down the track once he starts getting used to the cars.
Yes, he certainly is. Currently in the warm-up, obviously Nether's out there. Also got Matt Cecil, who was really, really solid in race 1. Didn't quite have the pace, or maybe perhaps the aggression to sort of force his way up through the field like those around him in race 2. So do you think he might be just a little bit more aggressive in race 3 here? Because he did look a little bit timid trying to get his way through the field compared to those that finished around him in race 1.
I haven't seen too much of Matt Cecil, but probably going off tonight, so you might go in a little bit more aggressive just to get a decent result for the night, but I can't say too much on how he's going to go.
Certainly. You've also got Matt Webb out there setting some lap times as well. But, what was he saying? Wayne and Crispy Bacon having a little bit of an incident there on the back straight there. But I'm sure Steve Bolger in the background just having a bit of a chuckle to himself at the shenanigans going on in front of him. But, yeah, I think obviously LimeMitch probably the one to look out for. Again, he still didn't quite have that ultimate pace as you saw sort of Wayne just gap him a little bit as the race went on. So I think the key to this one, obviously Brko we did see in race 1 and in qualifying does have pace. It's all going to be about if he can just get through the first lap unscathed to really get his night back on track. Because obviously he did take the win in the first race, but was caught up in some incidents in race 2 there, which has, I guess, sort of ruined his night a little bit, obviously finishing down there, I guess, in 10th, which is solid, but he would have been hoping for a bit better in that second race there.
Yeah, just got caught up in a few too many incidences, and just sort of come out worse for it, considering when he won the first race, and then just how his second race went.
Certainly. So hopefully, I'd like to see all these runners get through the field. What we have been treated to, aside from the spin from... there's a spin to Liam at the first chicane, and there was another guy, I think, at the first chicane as well on the first lap that went around in race 2. But aside from that, the first laps have been a little bit cleaner than what I would have thought, Rossi and Will. Hopefully, this final one, again, we can get through the first lap relatively unscathed.
Have you knocked on wood for that one?
Look, it's going to happen, so I'm just hoping, putting it out there that I hope it happens, but for the most part, it hasn't been too bad. I think we did have Bolger go around in race 1 towards the end of the lap, which sent him to the back of the field, but we haven't seen hashtag the big one yet, so hopefully we can get through it with there being so many cars in the server and it being a reverse grid race.
So I'll put it out there. I've jinxed LimeMitch, so LimeMitch has got a DNF. You've just jinxed the whole race, so we're all going to crash at turn 1. So, Will, who are you going to jinx, or what are you preferably wanting?
Well, the two I think will be on the podium. I don't want to say, but they are mid-pack at the moment.
So you want Termo and Nether to both bin it. I see how it is. So Termo is going to win this race. Netherealmian is going to be second. Put that in the bank. Money. Cash money. It is going to happen.
Nothing. I said nothing. Okay, they're lining up, guys. Lining up.
They are lining up.
They got 22 seconds.
They got plenty of time.
Got a Nissan on the front row.
You do have a Nissan on the front row. Car number 360. And that is Mr. Chris P. Bacon. So he'll be hoping not to cook it off the start.
And not do a 360.
Yeah, obviously he did have a bit of a rough run in that second race there, but he did finish, and that's why he starts this final race from pole position. Well, Will, you did the last one. Rossi, why don't you run us through the field for the final race this evening?
Alright, for the final race here for round 3 or 4, we have got, like we said, Crispy Bacon in the prime position of pole position. Gary Neville, he's even though he had a bad second race, but give it to you, he starts race 3 in second. Glenn Miles starts in third, with Brko, who's had a pretty shocking night all round, but starts fourth. Brian Walsh was fourth and Cracker's fifth. Rory Smith is sixth. Wayne Whitmore in seventh. Brody starts in eighth. Scott Stancliffe, he had a pretty consistent run in race 2, but then sort of fell apart. He's in ninth, and Termo rounds out our 10. Netherealmian in 11th. Matt Cecil in 12th. Steve Brko, our championship leader, I'm going to mix up.
It's been an action-packed start as we finish the first lap.
And guess where LimeMitch is? In 6th.
Side by side with Brko, in fact. So Brko has also had a solid start. Obviously started further down the field, but his teammate up 15 spots in 1 lap.
That's 53 positions in the first 2 laps of these races.
53 is looking to make it another. Very late on the brakes, and he's just avoided Bacon in front of him. And is now going to have to deal with his teammate. So that is vital for the championship that he finishes in front of Brko. Obviously, Brko winning the first race and Mitch down in 4th, but he would have clawed points back in race number 2. Mitch trying to go around the outside. He's cost himself time because see the Nissan in front of him going slow. He had a bit of a spinner there further down the field. That's Cracker around at the hairpin. And Gary Neville 3.5 seconds in front of Smith. And then Bacon and Mitch battling out. So Mitch has got his way past Brko. And now Brko's stuck behind the number 360 Norton Hornet Nissan.
Now I'm going to be biased here and I'm going to cheer Gary on here. So go on, Gaza.
I believe it's Go Gary Go. Like that old, I think that quit cigarette advertising. That's LimeMitch up into 3rd already. What a start. Stancliffe up to 7th. He's looking to chase after. See, Miles in front. Bit of contact between Brko and Bacon. I don't think Brko will be too happy with that because there was a very late move under braking by Bacon to defend his position. But Brko getting by after a little bit of door rubbing. And Bacon looking to make it up the inside. Brko gives him space. It ends up on the grass. A little bit of a slide on the exit from Bacon. Spins the wheels up. But Brko now up into 4th as his teammate is now up into 2nd, so we're looking at it could be an HRT 1-2 once again, just like the way we started the season, but there's still a long way to go yet.
Yeah, just looking back at BDS, it's just, you notice with him it's the contrasting differences of the reverse grid races where you can see your competitors climb through the field with ease and where BDS
big crash, sorry to cut you off, big crash between Rhodey and Duncan at turn 1. I'm just going to cut to a replay to see what happened there, but big off for those two. So just have a look. So Duncan's got on the brakes and Rhodey's hit him at full speed, and that's dropped them down the field, but continue, Rossi.
Yeah, it's just the contrasting differences a reverse grid race can do where BDS he's only slowly made up positions where his competitors and Steve Brko and LimeMitch just made it up with ease, so he should eventually make it up to the top, but yeah, he'd be frustrated with how slow he's going through the field compared to his competitors there. Yeah,
got a very angry battle pack now forming behind Chris P. Bacon. He's got Stancliffe and Turmo battling it out. A little bit of gap between Miles and Webb. Webb having a massive moment coming out of the chicane heading towards the hairpin, but was able to save it. Got Miles a bit wide. Webb's been compromised because to be behind Miles, and McDonald right there in the Nissan as well. And further ahead, a little bit of contact between Stancliffe and Turmo, I think, at turn 1. So they're duking it out. And Webb, I thought it was going to get speed in the back by McDonald, but no contact, thankfully. A little bit further back, looks like BDS and Bolger battling it out as well, but very angry battle pack down here. But Neville still leads the way, and then it's a HRT 2-3. But Stancliffe wanting to get by the Nissan in front, and Turmo wanting to get by the pair of them. There's a little bit of contact between Webb and McDonald in the background there, as Glenn Miles tries to hold on to a spot in the top 10, but loses out to Nether, and he's going to lose out to Cecil in a second. There's a little bit of contact with the hairpin. Webb's gone around the outside of all of them, so very smart driving from Matt Webb, seen the accident happening in front of him, and said, you guys can run into the spinning car, I'll go around the outside, and make my way up into P5. Thank you very much.
It's
LimeMitch has taken half a second out of the lead.
Ooh. So what had happened there, sorry, just on a replay, so looks like Stancliffe, very late on the brakes, made contact with Bacon and sent them both around and caused that incident. But as you were, Will?
Yeah, LimeMitch has taken now a second out of Gary in the last lap, so really applying blowtorch to Gary.
Well, it was 1.9 seconds at the first split. coming to the second, it's now 9/10 of a second, and Brko, gap between LimeMitch and Brko was 1.5 seconds. I reckon in a couple laps' time, they're going to be racing each other. So it's going to be vital for LimeMitch to get by Gary Neville as soon as possible. Otherwise, his teammate, who has been generally faster pace-wise throughout the weekend, will put him under pressure. As you see, one of the Red Bulls leaving the pits.
Hopefully they pull. He's just ahead enough, so he won't be too much of a drama.
And further down the field, Matt Webb coming under a bit of pressure from Turmo now. Matt Webb's solid effort so far. He's opening and got McDonald under a bit of pressure from Nether. And Bolger, he's had a decent run in this one, avoided the carnage and finds himself in the top 10 in 9th place as well.
And LimeMitch is going for the move heading into the chicane here.
He's lost out half a second to his teammate, but he's got the move done. Now, he's throwing the gauntlet down to Brko. You got to get by him quick, otherwise I'm going to sail off into the distance. Hasn't been a good exit though from Gary Neville, and Brko is within a shot of making a move, and he makes it straight away. Has to use the curb. They give each other space, but immediately Brko gets the job done, and now he can set his sights on putting his teammate under a bit of pressure. Oh, as Webb goes around, and that's going to drop him down 3 spots. So by goes Turmo, Nether, and McDonald.
Yeah, well, I think going back to Gary Neville, the best situation for him here is if he can just run a consistent race. He should be able to hold on to third, because just racing with him a little bit as the race goes on, the higher up he is more consistent. So he should be able to hold on to it if he keeps a clean race going.
Neville has done all you can ask for, really. He hasn't been the fastest driver out there, but avoided the carnage on the opening couple laps. And after 8 laps, he's 6 seconds in front of Smith, and Smith hasn't really been eating into his lead. So Neville, if he can just keep it on the grey stuff and not make a mistake, I reckon he could pick up a podium. So he's driving well at the moment, and done what his team would have wanted, what he would have wanted coming into tonight in picking up some very, very good points for Tickford Racing.
And Steve Brko is starting to climb up to the back of LimeMitch now, so that gap is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, 0.4 of a second faster on that last lap. Now, Will, you've been obviously in these situations where you're closing down a car that's around about the same pace, but you've got that slight edge. What are you looking for to get a move done?
I think you have to just hang back for a bit and wait for that mistake. I think you and I have been in these battles quite often where we're just matching each other's time, but letting each other know that we're there, and that sort of pressure is enough to hopefully force a mistake.
Yeah, there still is. Now it's 6 laps, just under 6 laps to go. Brko is right there now. Oh, as he gets it sideways, and they both get it sideways. So it's the HRT drift team. And in fact, LimeMitch has lost out even more. He's still struggling, and Brko around the outside. So up 11 spots into the lead. Steve Brko, our championship leader, coming into the round, and he had a shocking race too. At race 3, he's done what he's had to do, finds himself in the lead, and now the ball is in LimeMitch's court if he wants to close that gap up in the championship.
He would have thought for all money coming out of that hairpin that he was no shot at getting that lead, but no sooner than a second later he's in the lead.
Yep.
I have a feeling LimeMitch took his foot out of it there.
Oh, so you're saying a bit of team orders here? Might have a bit of controversy, bit of Austria Ferrari 2002 going on.
Oh, you never know.
But, they actually lost out a little bit of time to obviously Gary Neville on that last lap. Obviously Neville didn't make that big drift coming out of the hairpin, so Neville doing alright at the moment, and he's sort of maintaining his gap between himself and Smith. Smith starting to come under a bit of pressure from Turmo as he starts to close, but Smith also obviously been a bit quiet, but he's done a really solid job as well, holding on to P4 at the moment.
BDS, he was being fast all night, but he's still stuck in 16,
and speaking of Gary, Gary's had it off at the final corner. We've got a car upside down. I think that's Thomas Cole has ended up in the stands. It's a Burra all over again. Smith We were just talking up Gary Neville about how well he was driving, maintaining the gap, and now it's Smith who's done the good job and finds himself in a podium position. Oh, and Gary almost going around again at the first chicane. Turmo having a look, and, well, Gary holding on for dear life at the moment, and it's going to be a very, very interesting battle now for the final spot on the podium, with Turmo probably a little bit quicker than Neville and Smith. Same with Nether, and McDonald, Webb and Bolger also probably a little bit quicker than Smith as well.
Yeah, well, I think Thomas Cole's still stuck in that wall, so...
And Nether trying to go around the outside at the chicane of Gary Neville, and he's going to have the inside for the hairpin, up the inside, and that's 2 spots down in a split second for Gary Neville, and Smith had a bit of a slide coming out of the hairpin, so that's allowing Turmo to close up, and these new guys, well, they're starting to come unstuck just a little bit when the heat has started to turn up a little bit.
Yeah, this has been a bit more of a quieter reverse grid compared to the last races this time in race 2, but still a long way to go.
Still been a lot of overtaking, but Smith doing all he can. He's holding on. He's had a decent exit actually out of that's turn 4 there, and Turmo probably coming under. Yeah, he's coming under a lot more pressure from Nether in behind. But the final spot on the podium not sorted. Brko out in front, about 1.5 seconds clear of LimeMitch, but we did see Brko in race 1 sort of drop his pace towards the end of that race and come under threat from BDS, as he got Neville around again, unfortunately, and that's going to drop him down to 10th place, and if he's lucky, might see NZ Snipes drop into the top 10, so it's all gone pear-shaped for Gary Neville, just as it's looking really, really good with a few laps to go.
Yeah, it's a shame for Gary there, because I know he would have been stoked, at least finishing within the top 5, considering he's not his favourite car, the V8s, but he does enjoy racing them.
We've got Turmo now side by side with Smith. Smith didn't have a good exit out of the final corner. Nether wants a bit of that action as well. He's up the inside of Smith. They're both up the inside of Smith, but Smith going to try and hold on around the outside of turn 1. Doesn't get it done. Nether sort of having a look at Turmo at the first chicane as well. But Turmo now onto the final step of the podium, and around goes Nether. I don't know if there was contact, but around he goes. And Bolger also trying to join Nether on the inside of the track there as well, getting a bit sideways. We'll just cut to a little bit of replay and see if there was contact between Smith and Nether there. I'll just from aboard the old heli cam up here and see if it was just Nether getting too excited on the accelerator or there was contact. Oh no, there was definitely contact between Nether and Smith, so Nether probably not going to be too happy with that. That's dropped Nether out of podium contention and down behind Gary Neville. A big shame for him and his championship hopes. And Smith now is being overtaken by Webb and McDonald. So McDonald, solid evening from him so far on debut. And Webb as well, up 13 spots into P5.
Oh, and Nether's, I don't know whether it's just my screen, but he's got some serious crapping going on with his car. His front tyres are angled.
Just have a look on board. We'll jump on board with him and see if he's having to hold the wheel in a certain direction down the straight. So it could just be lag. No, it doesn't look like there's anything too wrong with it. I think it's just a little bit of a lag thing, because these cars, or this series, they run 25% damage, so even big hits like that should be okay and shouldn't cause too much damage, just more visual damage on the cars. So you see Snipes and Liam both was having a little bit of a cripple fight, all going off the circuit and making mistakes everywhere, but Liam Spencer now up into 11th, Snipes down to P12. And BDS hasn't had a good final race here. He's only in 13th at the moment. Behind him, we've got Chris P. Bacon and Kalen Duncan in the Norton Hornets Nissans. Matt Cecil, he's had a bit of a shocker in this final one. He's lost spots as opposed to making them up. Whitmore 17th, Cracker 18th. The roadie's got the blues with the HRT cars behind him. Walsh 20th. Stancliffe has a shocker in 21st. Cole out, Miles out. But Brko and his teammate on the final lap now, with a second separating the two.
Yeah, well, these HRT boys, they've just sort of shown their dominance again. They are definitely the ones to beat, winning majority of the races now.
Turmo's around, guys.
Oh no.
He is around at turn 4. That's allowed McDonald now into a podium spot. Webb up to P5. Just cut to the front though. We won't miss it because I think we've missed it in both the races so far. The leader crossing the start-finish line to win the race. But Brko slowed up quite a bit, and his teammates right behind him. It might be a photo finish here. It's going to go right to the line. Brko's lost out at the end, and LimeMitch is going to take the win. So what has happened there? It's LimeMitch stealing the win at the end. It's shades of USA 2002 where Schumacher tried to get a photo finish and in the end lost out to Barrichello. But so what has happened? Right on board with Brko. He might have ran out of fuel. He might have ran out of fuel. I don't know. He's still in the accelerator. He's downshifted. He downshifted to 4th. Right when he should have been shifting up, but he wasn't getting the revs that he should have been, so there might have been an error there. There might have been some kind of error. But in the end, McDonald crossing the line in 3rd place, so he's had a really good opening night in the Nissan. Matt Webb finishing in 4th, rounding out a fairly solid evening for him. And Wayne, in the end, he was sort of nowhere in the midpoint of that race, but a little bit of DNFs and some carnage in front of him in the last final laps has moved him up into P5 in the end. So good result for him and Super Monster Racing. Bolger, again, another benefactor of all the late race drama to finish in P6. Gary Neville, he will be kicking himself because he was comfortably in front of McDonald and Smith. But mistakes towards the end means he finishes in P7th, and it would have been a comfortable P3 in the end, I reckon. Nether, he'll be frustrated with contact when he would have finished in front of Turmo after Turmo's error in the end, but having to settle with 8th after further contact. Turmo in the end, finishing in 9th. And as we jump to him in the gravel trap, so that sort of sums up his final race there. Liam Spencer rounding out the top 10 in the final race this evening, with Snipes finishing in 11th place, BDS finishing in 12th, Duncan finishing in 13th, Cecil in 14th in front of Chris P. Bacon. So I reckon Bacon's made a bit of a mistake on that final lap because he was running line astern with his teammate. Whitmore finishing in 16th. So he's had a bit of a shocking run tonight. Same with Cracker down in 17th. Rhodey finishing 18th, with Glenn Miles 19th, with Scotty Stancliffe being the last of the runners, with Rory Smith actually non-finishing. Pardon me. So something happened, obviously, in that last lap that we didn't pick up. Perhaps ran out of fuel or something. But he DNF'd, with Thomas Cole flipping into the stands at the final corner, as we've seen in some other series that we've ran in the past, with Glenn Miles also being the last of the non-finishers. Whew. Well, gentlemen, we can finally catch a bit of a breath, but what a night of racing.
Yeah, it's just action-packed, just non-stop, basically. I think race 1 was pretty much our cleanest race, but just from there on in, it was just hell for broke. Everybody just wanted their own piece of land, and there wasn't enough to go around.
Yeah, it certainly looked like everybody sort of was everybody had a battle with somebody, which in the end, it's sort of what you want when you're racing. You don't want to be sort of stuck where you got guys in front of you that are a bit faster and pulling away, and sort of the guys behind you making mistakes and you're out on your own. It looked like in all the races tonight, really, everybody had one or two guys where they had to either defend from or they had to try and get by. So a good, entertaining night racing from, I guess, us, and for obviously those guys racing as well, which is the main thing in the end.
Yeah, it was good. Good to see some pretty outstanding pieces of driving, like from LimeMitch to make up 50 odd positions just in the first couple of laps for all 3 races, and in vice versa with BDS, he was fast all night, but then in that 3rd race there, he couldn't make up any positions.
Yeah, certainly. Well, might as well just ask both of you guys, I guess. Haven't got any drivers here in the broadcast booth at the moment, but still, or we do actually, but I'll ask you guys just before we cut to them, who'd be your drivers of the night? Obviously drivers that may not have been the fastest, but they were to keep out of trouble and bring home some really good results there.
For me, you couldn't put it past LimeMitch, just coming from the back of the grid in every single race, but virtually instant free. From what we saw in at least race 2 and 3, he didn't make any contact with anybody, and he come out tops virtually at the end.
Certainly. Well, we do have some drivers here, obviously in the broadcast booth. And Will, you haven't said much all night, so we'll cut to you to ask. See Steve Brko, our race 1, and well, what should have been our race 3 winner, but certainly our race 1 winner this evening. Just ask him a few questions and how his night had been.
Yeah, Brko, what happened on that last lap and last turn?
The last lap probably I sort of gave a little bit of room and just eased off the throttle a little bit. Thought we were going to do a 1-2 podium drive, but apparently LimeMitch wanted the win. So that's fair enough. I had a good result, so that's all I can really say.
We saw you two get a little bit into it out of the hairpin. I think it was about lap 10. Can you talk us through it?
So as we got out of the hairpin, I probably hit the inside curb a little too much and lit the rears. Lucky for me, I think LimeMitch hit the outside curb and lit the rears on his end, so kind of gave me that extra push. So yeah, that's kind of what happened.
And how did you find the racing all night? The biggest field so far in Super 2.
It was pretty chaotic. First race, as soon as I took the lead, I kind of just relaxed a little bit, and then I think towards the end there, I just looked up in my rearview mirror and saw BDS's car, and I was like, "What's he doing here?" So I had to really push it a little bit too, push it hard, and yeah, we had that awesome finish in the first race. Second race probably could have gone better. Had a couple of incidents here and there, and yeah, it was just all over the place, but still managed to get a top 10. And third race was, well, as you saw, finished second, so I can't complain too much, but it was pretty hectic out there.
Well, excellent driving tonight, and well done on your 1 and your 2nd place in the last race.
Thank you very much.
All right, Rossi. Well, why don't you go and find, obviously, LimeMitch there with you and ask him how his night travelled, and just ask him, what the hell was he doing to his car on the opening few laps of that race? Because he certainly got off the line very, very well.
Well, LimeMitch, I have to thank you first because you saved me from a pretty critical error in the commentary booth for me not jinxing you. So thank you for passing 52 odd different cars in the races tonight. But like it was said, how did you make up that many positions in your first two laps of each race?
Well, the tactic just seemed to be send it through the middle and then on the outside through turn 1 and just hope for the best. Everything seemed to unfold each time. Like, there was a couple of spins and I still managed to make it through, so it seemed alright.
And just going back to it, because we weren't able to get it all, but did you manage to get through without any contact, or was there little bits of contact between people, or you just seemed everything just split in between you and you just fell for it and you made up all those positions pretty easy?
There was a little bit of contact, especially in race 1. I think someone pulled out in front of me as I was like going through the middle and tapped them a bit, but that didn't seem to screw anything up too much. So yeah.
Oh, and then I just want to take it back to that last lap on race 3. You were sitting in second. Did you see yourself winning at that end, or because what happened there between you and Steve Brko there from your point of view?
Well, so going into the kind of final chicane, there was a lapped car, so he ran wide a bit. I was like, oh, here we go. He's going to give up a bit of time. But he didn't give up quite enough. And then I just kind of had a brain fart and was like, oh, he's lifted off, he's run out of fuel or something. But I'll have to repay him further along the series.
No, that's good. But excellent driving all night to for you to just make up all those positions. And just good to see that many positions being made up and really no instance between you. So congrats on a good night and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, well, might as well cut to our other race winner of the evening in Wayne Spencer. Wayne, you had a bit of an up and down evening, but see, in that final race, you're sort of out of the top 10 for a while, but things come towards, obviously went your way towards the end with some obviously offs and some DNFs. But that second race there, you had that rocket start, and from there, it set you up for a nice victory in the end there.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Like, just it opened up for me in that second one. It was, and then someone moved out the way quite nicely after about the third turn, so that was nice. And then I think LimeMitch was faster, but obviously got caught up in a bit and gave me a bit of a lead. He started to come back in the end, but luckily I had enough by then. Third one, a bit different. So I sort of tried to get through from the start, but it was just push and bump everywhere. I was lucky not to get turned around earlier probably, but I had pretty good pace, I think. So, yeah, worked my way through as much as I could. And like you said, there was a fair few incidents around me. I was a bit surprised when I looked up and saw fifth in the end.
Yeah, it was certainly a surprise, I guess, to us when we were sort of going through the standings in the end there, because we did catch you with a couple of laps to go, and you're sitting there, I think, in 11th or 10th spot there, so it would have been a bit of a surprise if you crossed the line and, hold on a second, P5. So, a solid night from you. How did you find, obviously, your first couple rounds where you've raced? Obviously, I think the most cars you've driven with was 11 in the Super 2 Series. How did you find it with over 20 cars out there on a lap that was just over a minute long?
Yeah, it was interesting. Luckily, like for most of it, I was sort of out of that mid-pack to the rear, so I sort of kept out of it in the first and second one. But third one, reverse grid and trying to work your way through, you can't really avoid it. But yeah, it was great. It was nice to see so many people out there. It made for fun racing, and everyone, was in a battle somewhere, and it was great. A lot less room.
Yeah, it certainly looked very, very well. From our point of view, it was very entertaining. There's always something going on. In fact, we actually missed you crossing the start-finish line to take the win in race 2, so we do apologise for that. There was just so much going on at the time. But once again, obviously, congratulations on the win in race 2, and best of luck for the season ahead.
Thanks.
All right, well, I think we might as well jump to, we see a man that took a podium in the final race there, John McDonald. Well, your first night here in Super 2, how'd you find it out there?
It's pretty hectic, especially in that last race. I stalled on the grid, actually, and dropped down to about 20th, and still managed to get a podium somehow out of that. But tight track, a lot of folks. Got a little bit of practice from the GT3 race a few nights ago, though, so kind of helped.
Yeah, it certainly would have. Obviously, GT3, we had one of our biggest turnouts ever, with over 20 plus cars around a twisty track, but that one is a bit longer than this one. See, we now, obviously, you've answered a puzzle that was sort of missing for us, what happened at the start of that third race there, because we were riding on board LimeMitch to see how he'd start, because obviously his starts are so good, and we did see, obviously, cars going nowhere and a bit of contact. So I assume you don't run with auto clutch, and you just forgot to pull the clutch in and just stalled it before the start there.
Just rev bang and neutral, and didn't move and got shunted in the back before I actually realised, hang on, my car's not in gear. So that took a little bit to, obviously go, oh, hang on, put it in gear and then go. Sorry to the people behind me, I guess, but well, what do you do?
Certainly. Well, you started, I guess, the weekend off. You were a bit quiet. You weren't sort of towards the pointy end of the field. But as the weekend sort of progressed, and as obviously went from race 1, 2 to 3, your pace did sort of progressively get better. Did you find yourself getting more comfortable with the car the more you were driving out there tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Haven't done too many laps at this track or in this car. A little bit different to what I'm used to. And Steve Brko gave me his setup just before the race, so a little bit different just before the race and just trying to get used to it. Got a little bit unlucky. I think I could have got a top 5 in race 2, but I spun it, I think, twice and ended up finishing down in 8th or so. But yeah, definitely got a lot more comfortable with the car. And in the last race, I put on a set of hard tyres, and it really came into effect in the last 5 laps. Had a lot of grip over everyone.
Well, hard tyres. That's a quite a surprise, because generally drivers steer clear of those in the supercars, but you say you found a bit of time and I guess a bit of pace towards the end of the race because you're running the hard tyres as opposed to softs. I'm assuming you ran softs in the earlier 2 races. How much of a difference was it in that final race running hard tyres compared to the softs?
The grip of first few laps, it was a lot. It was really hard, but because I went, if I'm starting in the back, my pace won't have to be as fast because everyone's going to be bunched up where I am, and it seemed to work because as soon as everyone's tyres started to die off, that's when the field started thinning out, and my tyres kind of got better and better versus everyone else's in those last laps, especially the left front. I think that got down. That was really bad in the first 2 races for me, personally, at least.
Well, still, something a bit different and out of left field from what we're normally used to, and it paid off in the end with the podium in the final race. So congratulations on a podium, and hopefully we see you for the rest of the season.
No, definitely come back for some more.
Awesome. Well, that is obviously a few race winners and a newcomer in John McDonald. But Rossi and Will, thanks for joining us this evening. Who would you guys rate as our driver of round 4 here at Pukekohe?
Well, I said it earlier. I based it on LimeMitch, so I'll leave it up to Will.
Yeah, you can't really put it past LimeMitch tonight with the amount of spots he's made up. 53, 54 spots throughout the whole night. It's pretty insane.
Just a ridiculous number.
It is. But I also tip my hat to John McDonald, first time out racing with us and getting a podium. It's not an easy effort to do that.
Yeah, certainly not. A lot of drivers could get a shout out. So yeah, I think in the end, LimeMitch, as you said, 52, 53 spots in 3 races is insane. It's almost, it's 18, 16, 17 cars per race he's overtaking, which is a crazy amount. And he did the majority of those on the first 2 laps of each of them. So it takes a bit of spatial awareness and smarts to be able to do that, and a bit of luck too. But still, fantastic night from him. Even though he didn't obviously set a lap in qualifying, he was still able to make it work, and keeps him in the championship hunt. Anyway, just to sort of see what is coming up at Automobilista Australia, just got to go over to the Facebook page once again because I'm so bad at this and I don't set up a page beforehand. But I do believe we have Supercars next week, Will, on Thursday night.
I believe it's Thursday after. It will be Symmons Plains. It's a different Symmons Plains than Automobilista Australia's ever seen, so it's a really top quality track this time round, and I think it'll make a really good broadcast.
Yeah, so that is on, just having a look now, that is on Thursday the 9th of April. That's round 3 of the Automobilista Australia Supercar Championship from Symmons Plains. On Monday, we have Rossi's series with the Track Day Cup from Brko Raceway. That'll be a good fun track to drive those cars around. And then on Tuesday, March 31st, we have the 3rd round of TCR Australia at Winton, which unfortunately we don't have a broadcast of what happened last season, but from what I hear, there was some fantastic racing there last year. And then on Wednesday night, we have TCAC All-Wheel Drive Series from Round 4 at Brko Raceway on April 1st. So for those that are looking for a bit of fun and a bit of, obviously, casual racing, TCAC Track Day Cup, and indeed TCR All Series, where everybody is welcome to jump in and have a crack regardless of your skill level and experience. So we do encourage you guys to chuck your name in the ring and have a crack. Anyway, from myself, Lewis Wedding, from Will Devonish and from Brendan Ross, we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast of Round 4 of the Automobilista Australia not Touring Car Championship, but the Super 2 Championship from Pukekohe Raceway. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks' time, where the boys will be heading to, let's just have a look, from Brko Raceway. So that'll be another interesting one, where the rear tyres and the front left are going to be very, very important. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Catch you next week with the TCR Winton round. See you then.